Hello everyone, my name is Jenna Shagnard and today I want to present you the topic of meditation and visualization in sport. We will go into more detail on how they are used and how athletes can benefit from using these techniques. First, I would like to start off with a quote that Delgani and his other research partners said in their article. Athletes take great efforts to improve their athletic performance and compensate the barriers to their athletic performance as well. I agree with this quote because athletes and their coaches are always looking for better techniques or strategies to enhance their performance so that they can achieve their goals. Ultimately, the athlete's most number one goal in life is to be successful, and one way to be successful is to have optimal performance. But what sets apart athletes that are more successful than others is what Shank and Korn discussed in their article, saying that psychological differences within an athlete is what makes them a winner. So athletes that play at the collegiate or professional level may have similar physical abilities, but their mental state in the game is what will determine whether they win or lose. And that difference is between winning and losing is 99% psychological. Along with being an athlete, though, comes with repercussions. And those repercussions are dealing with stress and anxiety on a day-to-day basis, along with many other psychological problems. And Delgani has said that the most prominent stress factors in an athlete's everyday life is learning how to balance their responsibilities. For example, athletes in college have to learn how to juggle their academics as well as managing their practices and games, which can be very time consuming and challenging. So this presentation is mainly about how visualization and meditation used in sports are excellent techniques for athletes to use to cope with stress, reduce competitive anxiety, and enhance their performance. The first technique that I want to inform you about today is visualization. Elizabeth Quinn explained in her article that visualization is the process of creating a mental image or intention of what you want to happen or feel in reality. And I think that visualization is a very important technique to use in sports because it helps you not only to remember and learn how to perform those skills, but it'll help you to execute them better and overall help you to enhance an athlete's performance. And a model that is commonly used to enhance an athlete's performance is the PETTLEP model. Wright and Smith explained in their research article that the PETTLEP model aims to maximize this functional equivalence by ensuring that the imagery performed is a close representation of the actual movement. There are 7 vital components that contribute to this model. The first being the physical component, which is when an athlete imagines how they want to perform in their sporting event. The imagery should have the same characteristics to the athlete's physical response. The second is the environmental component, which is when visualizing where an athlete plays, it should be very similar to the actual field. This is done to access the same motor representation in your thoughts as well as in reality. The third is task. To get the most benefit out of using the imagery strategy, it is best to create an image in your head that represents a task that is relevant to your particular sport. Time is another component that is used to create an image, and it is important to visualize performing the task at the correct pace because precise timing is crucial in sports and execution of skills. So you want to be able to imagine how, for example, in softball, you want to imagine the speed of the bat the same timing as if you were to actually perform that skill in the game. Because if you imagine doing it in slow motion, you may not have the speed to hit the ball. The next component is learning. An athlete needs to be able to adapt when their learning skills progress. So ultimately, it is essential to review the skills you learned when visualizing their performance. Another component is the use of visualizing emotion in sports. And you need to be able to create a mental image where all possible emotions are considered when athletes perform during their sporting events. So you need to be able to visualize the nerves before a game, the excitement and adrenaline rush when you catch a fly ball in softball or baseball. So all those emotions are important to acknowledge so that you can be mentally ready before a competition or game. And the last component is perspective. This component of the model is to practice viewing imagery from different point of views, and that can be internal or external. So now that we've learned a little bit about the PETT-LEP model, there are also other theories that are applied to visualization in sport. The first theory that we're going to talk about is the psychoneuromuscular theory, and it is applied when an athlete imagines doing a particular skill and the muscles in one's imagination are activated by impulses sent from the brain. So this theory ultimately connects your mind to your body, and with saying that, mental practice is just as effective as physical practice. That means when you envision yourself practicing a skill, it is also helping to improve your body as well. One benefit of the psychoneuromuscular theory is the absence of major physical exertion used in traditional physical training is another advantage of mental rehearsal. This helps to reduce the risk of overtraining athletes. That is a major contribution to anxiety. So not having to put as much physical stress on your body will help to not have anxiety in athletes. The other theory that we are going to talk about is attention arousal set theory. And this is when visualization helps to make an athlete's attempt easier to set their arousal at an optimal level, thereby allowing the individual to achieve peak performance. This theory is beneficial because it helps athletes to focus on the relevant task needed to be done and blocks out potential distractions. Now that we know how visualization is used in sports, there are many benefits that come from using this technique. Using imagery as a technique in competitions can help athletes to be more self-confident, focused, and in control of their emotions and arousal during events. So visualization allows you to become more focused on the task that you need to be done, and this can help you to achieve your goal optimally. And being more self-confident will give you the drive to want to achieve your goal and more. Also, players may be motivated to practice harder and compete more intensely by imagining themselves performing well during a game or event. Campos and his other research partners said that visualizing the greatest processes of adaptation on situations that haven't occurred yet is considered to be helpful in football. This means that you are visualizing all types of different situations that can happen to you, and it is helpful to know so that you are mentally ready if it does come up in a game. And lastly, visualization has been showed in research that it reduces stress and anxiety. It also allows you to unlock your full potential because visualization has somewhat control over your brain. And it helps to see the better side of yourself when sometimes your mind says otherwise. Now I would like to talk to you about the strategy of self-talk. Self-talk is a skill that uses internal and external conversations with ourselves to influence how we act and think about our personal image. Using self-talk strategies, they call it using cue words such as, like, come on, you can do this, focus on the ball, like just saying words to help you guide, motivate, or support yourself through a specific task. So there are two types of self-talk, instructional or motivational. Instructional self-talk is used by providing instruction to perform a specific task. And this type of self-talk is more beneficial for fine tasks that place a greater emphasis on accuracy and precision. Sports that would use this type of technique would be such as football or tennis, where football you want to accurately throw the ball to your other player, and tennis where you want to efficiently hit the ball across the court to your other opponent. So it's more of like teaching you and learning a new skill. Motivational self-talk is used by stating positive thoughts to oneself to inspire the task that is being carried out. And this technique seems to be more beneficial for motor tasks that place a greater emphasis on strength and endurance. And sports that would use this strategy would be like long distance running and soccer. When you're running for many miles, you have to motivate yourself in order to get through and push to the finish line. So saying things like, you can do this, push through, like just a few more minutes can overall help to have a positive state of mind during your race and can help you to be successful. So self-talk helps to concentrate better on the task, and it can also help to improve an athlete's attention on the task as well. And it's also been proven to help reduce anxiety. But the overall purpose of self-talk is to focus on the desired thought to lead to your desired behavior. Lastly, another technique that is used in sport to help enhance an athlete's performance is the meditation strategy, which I find this technique is very important to use, and it can be very beneficial as well. So, mindfulness meditation means the acceptance and awareness of thoughts, emotions, physical senses, and external experiences at the present time without judging and trying to control and suppress them. Mindfulness meditation has three main objectives: to understand one's own mental processes, having the power to shape or control that mental process, and lastly, to gain freedom from those uncontrolled mental processes. And I think that this is very important to utilize in sport because everyone, I know myself especially,
we always have doubtful thoughts about ourselves, and it's a challenge to be able to accept that they're there, but not to let it affect us and how we play in sport. So the key point here is to not let it affect you towards your success. And in the study, they discussed how if an athlete can learn how to accept their negative thoughts rather than fear them, it will help them to perform better under stressful conditions. And that study was it was discussed with Delgani and his other partners. So in that research article, using the mindfulness, acceptance, commitment-based approach on athletic performance, they conducted a study to determine if the use of the mindfulness, acceptance, commitment-based intervention method would improve athletic performance as well as reduce competition anxiety in student athletes.
So, to
lastly,
go
another
further
technique
in
that is used in sport to help enhance an athlete's performance
that were used
is
were college
the
female
meditation strategy,
from the
which I
universities
find this technique is very important to use, and it can be very beneficial as well.
Had 2 training sessions a week over the span of 5
mindfulness
months.
meditation
They
means the
use
acceptance
the
and awareness of thoughts, emotions,
commitment
physical
protocol.
senses, and
this
external
protocol
experiences
consisted
at the
of
present
doing
time
breathing exercises
without judging and trying to control
their
and
negative
suppress
thoughts
them.
and emotions, assessing their values and
mindfulness
goals,
meditation has
cultivating
3 main
acceptance
objectives:
through
to
mindfulness
understand one's
skills
own mental processes,
and being able
having
to
the
maintain
power
and
to
enhance
shape or control
their
that mental
MAC.
process, and lastly, to gain
So
freedom
there was a
from those
control
uncontrolled
group
mental
and an
processes.
experimental group. The control
And
group
I
did
think
not
that this is
receive
very
any
important to
intervention,
utilize
whereas
in
the
sport
experimental
because
group did.
everyone,
And
I know myself
they
especially,
first
we always have
introduced the
doubtful thoughts
methods
about
that they
ourselves,
would be
and
using during each
it's
session
a challenge
to the
be
female
able
athletes
to
and assess them accordingly.
accept that they're
But they
there,
really
but
stressed
not
the importance
to let it
of
affect
the
us and
mindfulness,
how
acceptance,
we play
commitment
in
approach.
sport.
So
the
there were
key point here
3
is
different stages. In the
to
mindfulness
not let it
stage,
affect
they
you
taught the athlete
towards
breathing
your success.
exercises to practice in daily life.
And
in the next stage of
the study,
values identification,
they discussed
and
how if an athlete can learn how to accept their negative thoughts rather than fear them, it will help them to perform better under stressful conditions.
And in the last phase,
study
the acceptance phase, they taught the female athletes on how to accept things as
Delgani
they are
and his other partners.
and how
in that research article, using the mindfulness, acceptance, commitment-based approach on athletic performance,
were shown that
they conducted a study to determine if the use of the mindfulness, acceptance, commitment-based intervention method would improve athletic performance as well as reduce competition anxiety in student athletes.
Proved that the mindfulness and acceptance-based interventions
that
can
is
be
used in sport
to increase concentration, improve working memory, reduce stress and negative thoughts, and
meditation strategy,
athletic performance,
which I find
as well
this technique is very important to use, and it can be very beneficial as well.
Of using the mindfulness meditation technique
mindfulness meditation means the acceptance and awareness of thoughts, emotions, physical senses, and external experiences at the present time without judging and trying to control and suppress them.
So being able to have control over
mindfulness
your
meditation has
mind
3 main objectives: to understand one's own mental processes, having the power to shape or control that mental process, and lastly to gain freedom from those uncontrolled mental processes. And I think that this is very important to utilize in sport because everyone, I know myself especially, we always have doubtful thoughts about ourselves, and it's a challenge to be able to accept that they're there, but not to let it affect us and how we play in sport. So the key point here is to not let it affect you
because if
towards
you
your success.
are in a game and you are not aware
and
that,
in
say
this
in football,
the
someone,
study, they
another player
discussed
is
how
running
if an
behind you
athlete
and
can
hits
learn
you,
how to
if you're not
accept
aware of
their
him
negative
being
thoughts rather
behind
than
you,
fear
then
them,
you can
it will help
potentially
them to perform better under
have the
stressful
risk of getting
conditions.
injured.
And that study
So,
was
being able to
it was discussed
know
with
that
Delgani and
know
his
your
other
surroundings
partners.
will help
So,
you
in that research
to
article,
have optimal
using the
performance.
mindfulness, acceptance,
It is
commitment
also
based
known
approach
to
on
provide
athletic
guidance in
performance,
building the skills
they conducted a
necessary
study
let
to
go
determine
of
if
the
the use
uncontrollable
of
in learning,
the mindfulness,
to accept
acceptance,
whatever happens without
commitment based
judgment for
intervention
overall
method
performance and
would
hit.
improve athletic performance as well
But
as
the
reduce
purpose
competition
or ultimate
anxiety
goal
in
of
student
mindfulness
athletes.
meditation, I believe, is to focus on the process
Lastly,
rather
another
than
technique
the outcome.
that is
Because when you
used in
focus on the
sport
process
to
rather than your
help
outcome,
enhance
it
an
is so
athlete's
important
performance
because
is
you have
the
control
meditation
over
strategy,
the process.
which I find one
And
of
if you're
this
sufficient enough,
technique
then
is
your
very
outcome will be
important to use, and it can be very
In
beneficial as well.
conclusion, meditation
So,
and visualization techniques are excellent
mindfulness
ways to boost
meditation
an athlete's
means the
confidence,
acceptance
reduce
and
stress and
awareness of
anxiety,
thoughts, emotions,
increase
physical
an athlete's
senses, and external
concentration,
experiences at the present
accept
time
negative thoughts,
without judging and
and
trying
learn
to
how
control
to
and
not
suppress
let it
them.
affect you, and
Mindfulness
to overall
meditation has
enhance their
three main
performance.
objectives: to understand one's own mental processes, having the power to shape or control that mental process, and lastly, to gain freedom from those uncontrolled mental processes. And I think that this is very important to utilize in sport because everyone, I know myself especially, we always have doubtful thoughts about ourselves, and it's a challenge to